Yeah, we made it. I'm so happy. Which presentation? Oh, okay. Okay. Awesome. Yeah, that's perfect. Yes, yes. Good. Good evening, everyone. I welcome you to the regular meeting, our August meeting, August 1st. We're starting not too bad, 7:14, and we'll call the meeting to order, and we'll ask folks to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I'm going to ask our Deputy Mayor to lead us in the pledge. Some good work over there.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll do a roll call.
Councilmember Gully. Councilmember Garrett.
Here.
Councilmember Parenteau.
Here. I would just ask folks to please put your phones on vibrate. I can't make you, but I'm asking. And then secondly, if we need to talk, the acoustics in here are absolutely horrible. Please take it in the hallway. Thank you. Mara.
Councilmember Parenteau.
Here.
Councilmember Cummings.
Here.
Councilmember December.
Present.
Councilmember Kennedy.
Present.
Council President Mantello.
Here.
7 present, none absent.
Beautiful. We're going to go right into good news, folks, and bear with us. We have a couple really special people here in the audience that we'd like to recognize.
Sorry.
Hi, everyone. This is our favorite part of our job. It's really recognizing you, recognizing folks out there, volunteers, neighborhood folks, organizations, and really special people who don't ask for anything in return, just go about their day. But you know what they do? They pay it forward. They volunteer in our neighborhoods. They volunteer whether it be fixing up memorials, doing wonderful things in the community. So we like to take 5-10 minutes to just say thank you. Our first one was nominated by Councilmember Parator. I'll ask Fred Miller to come up and I'll hand it off to Councilmember Parator.
I have a village here, we're all coming.
Beautiful. It takes a village. I didn't say that.
It only looks like this is the one person.
Here, come on over on this
Gonna
side.
hand you
Here,
some.
come on over on this side. We'll split it. Awesome. Yeah, whatever. Yeah. Now we're missing. Oh, over here. Wait a minute. I thought you moderated.
It's a pleasure to nominate my friend Fred Miller and Khalil Jameson Consulting Group, but particularly Fred, for his vision in starting the Troy 100 Forum. One of your many one of your many big ideas that was big to begin with and then grew and morphed and has really become sort of the town gathering in the city of Troy, has brought together so many people, and we've learned and educated ourselves, and it was a fabulous thing to create, and I applaud you for that, and I commend everyone, Khalil Jameson, for continuing to put on the Troy 100 Forum.
Thank you. I was down in New Jersey today working for a client down there at the utility company. And like 4 or 5 years ago, when I used to go places and say Troy, they would say, oh yeah, we know Troy, Michigan. And I haven't had that in a long time now. I say Troy, and people say, oh yeah, Troy, New York, yeah, I've been there, I want to be there. I've heard about it. I mean, Troy's reputation has just soared over the last several years, and that's a tribute to everybody in this room, clearly the city council, clearly the mayor's office, and everyone else. And so it's wonderful to be a part of a live, breathing thing. And you know, when you're alive, you have all kinds of little things, ups and downs, and little fights, and little runs, and little everything. But bottom line, we're a great city, doing great things, going to be even greater in the future. And I'm very proud to be a part of it. Thank you.
Would you like to introduce yourself? Have them introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Allison Vanderwolken. I'm project manager and legal counsel at Khalil Jameson.
Awesome.
Hi, I'm Tara Whittle. I'm a vice president at Khalil Jameson.
Hello, I'm Mark Friedman, and I work in the finance department.
Hello, I'm Melissa Nunez. I'm a consultant here based in the Troy office.
Awesome.
Thank you. We want to, once again, hats off to Fred, Khalil Jameson. We appreciate your partnership, stepping up to the plate with Troy 100 Forum. It's amazing, the crowds. And you know what I like most is the subjects. You had the one on video gaming. They're really creative, really different. And I think you're able to get so many different partners and stakeholders out there, not the everyday, political people. So thank you for what you do. Thank you. And do you want to read the rest?
Certainly, I'd be honored to read the resolution.
They need to be stapled to my head.
On this first day of August 2019, the Troy City Council presents this certificate of commendation to Fred Miller. Whereas Fred Miller is the CEO and lead strategist of the Khalil Jameson Consulting Group Incorporated, and whereas in 2000, he founded the Troy 100 Forum, where local leaders from different sectors of the community gather to discuss topics of public concern. And whereas through his leadership and example, he has inspired the residents of Troy to meet their neighbors and work together to improve our city. The City Council hereby thanks Fred Miller and his colleagues for encouraging all of us to be better citizens and neighbors.
Yay. Awesome. Mara, I'll take our picture. I just realized on one final note that I was 20 when he started this, 2000. Wait a minute, wasn't that funny? All right. Hats off to Fred Miller again and Khalil James. All right. Next, hopefully some folks are here from DeFazio's. Are you here? We would love to see you if you are. They are not here. However, they will be receiving a proclamation regarding their 11th annual stickball tournament. Is anyone here from Joseph's house? Yay, thank you. Awesome. So I requested the DeFazio's and Joseph's house to join us this evening. Thank you very much. And your name?
Patty Tobin.
Very nice to meet you, Patty. What's your position at Joseph's house?
I'm the Director of Development.
Thank you very much. Very important, believe me. You're the worker bee. So we have DeFazio's Pizzeria and Joseph's house recognized this evening. They host the annual stickball tournament to child homelessness. And Rocco DeFazio, his family have really stepped up to the plate on an annual basis. And I don't know if anyone has ever tried playing stickball. You may notice I have some scrapes on my knees. If you haven't, I play softball. And needless to say, I dove for a ball. Stickball is very different than softball, and it is very hard to hit that ball. I don't know if you tried, Monica or the mayor, but it is very difficult. Probably after about 30 tries, I think I finally was able to connect with the ball. I do know the PBA this past year actually won the stickball tournament. So why don't you just give us a lowdown, what happens, how the community comes out. I pop down every year, but tell us where the funds go and all that good stuff. Thank you.
So we're very fortunate to have a great community partner like DeFazio's in the Little Italy area. And we joined with them about 6 or 8 years ago to do this stickball tournament as a way to give back to the community. And anything that's raised or any goods it received goes right back to our shelter for our children. And also this year we decided to incorporate a block party with that for the kids of the neighborhood. We had a petting zoo, we had pony rides, we had bounce houses, and we're gonna do it again next year because the kids really had so much fun. And we're a good neighbor, we're an unusual neighbor. That's how we kind of quote, we say who we are. So we're very, very happy to be part of this, and thank you so much to everybody for this wonderful honor.
Well, and we thank Joseph's House and DeFazio's for this incredible, I mean, you don't just obviously do this tournament, you're all year round, you're 365 days a year. And we want to say thank you for being a partner. Thank you for everything you do in the community. Let's give hats off to Joseph's House. I'll read this very, very quickly. Whereas on June 9th, DeFazio's Pizzeria and Joseph's House hosted the 11th annual Stick It to Child Homelessness Stickball Tournament. I love the name too. And whereas Joseph's House was founded in 1983 to provide a range of homeless services to residents throughout Rensselaer County. And whereas each year the tournament collects thousands of pounds of food and personal items for donation to local food pantries and shelters while providing a fun event in Little Italy's historic Hill Street Marketplace. the City Council hereby thanks Joseph's House for all it does for the people of Troy, New York, and Rensselaer County. Thank you so, so much. And we'll take a quick picture.
Thank you for your work.
Appreciate it.
Thank you again, Joseph's House. And last, we thought that this was just so incredibly cool. And what I thought was so cool about it, it was so under the radar. They weren't looking for press. They weren't out there, bantering. We're doing this for the community. It was really under the radar, and it was phenomenal. And I nominated the folks from Graham's Lansingburg Cafe with Councilmember Gully. And Councilmember Gully is, I believe, maybe a partner in your business because he's there so much. So I'm going to hand it off to stockholder. Come on up, Grams. Come on up, Grams. I'm going to ask Councilmember Gully to join me up here. Come on up, bud. And before we say anything, I want you to tell folks here what you did on the weekdays this 1 week, and how was the turnout? Let the folks know. Come on over here. Cool. And introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. My name's Chef Donnie Graham, owner operator of Lansingburg Cafe. Been there for going on 20 years. Actually, going on 21.
Yeah.
Right. I like to actually take full credit for this whole idea. It's actually
it was Amy, wasn't it?
Amber. But actually, I was shooting darts on dart night at the Troy Athletic League, and my waitress called me up. She goes, "Look, I have this idea. You might not like it, but what do you think about giving the kids free breakfast between 8:30 and 9:30?" I agreed. I thought it was a great idea. We always seem to be feeding a few people in the neighborhood anyways, and we've seen a need for the kids, and breakfast being the most important, right, meal of the day to start off. That's what we do. It's a really simple gesture. Not everybody can afford to send their kids to the Boys Club. I drive by there every day. So the first day we want to do this on Monday. Tuesday, I get up, I go on my way to work, and I see an older girl, maybe she might have been 12, and her younger sister and her younger brother, and they're walking towards the cafe. And I go, oh my God, I think they might be going there for the breakfast. And sure enough, so I showed up, and short right behind me, they came in. So that's how it all started. It started with 3 kids the first day. Now we're up to about 20 kids a day. I tell you, I wish it could be more. I was always taught, or always think that if everybody, of course, eggs and toast is not going to save Troy, but it's going to help my neighborhood. So just to be positive, do something positive in the neighborhood. If everybody could do something that even reach and get to one kid or a couple kids, do their little part, we'll all be better off for it.
Awesome. If that didn't bring a tear to your eye, please add anything you'd like. And then I know Mr. Gully would like to say something.
Hi, I'm Amber. I'm a waitress at the restaurant. I would like to say that there are repetitive children coming in, so you can see the need for the breakfast. There are different kids every day, but when you see repetitive children coming in, you know there's a need for it. So I can't help but be happy to be a big part of this,
I'm Holly Johnson. I'm also a waitress at the cafe. She's being a little modest. She's a little more than a waitress there. She's the big part of the show. We've both been there about 13 years ourselves. And it's just something we wanted to do to give back, as little as it is, to us, that we can afford a couple dollars a day, it makes a world of difference for these kids. So we're glad to do it.
Councilmember Gully.
I've had the pleasure over the last probably 21 of those 21 years of stopping into Grams for breakfast every now and then. I will tell you, if you haven't had one of his gourmet omelets, you are missing out.
I know.
All right? You need,
They are.
they're unbelievable. If you can't recognize it, you need to go there.
In
But beside the food, I want to talk about the atmosphere, because when you go in there, there's always a happy face that says hello, and they don't turn anybody away. And I've seen times where people are short on money, sometimes not even have any money, and they've always been taken care of there. And Amber is a thinker, and she looks outside the box for things that she can help the community. We talk a lot. And what I noticed in there is that when you go there, it's very, very warm in there. You feel good talking to people. People say hello in there, something that's kind of unusual in some places. You don't see a lot of people just stuck to their texting phones. There's actually communication at the tables there because it's such a small spot. And I think that they've developed that with their culture of it's all about the community. And I've been there many times. They get mad at me because I bring my own creamer.
Just because he doesn't
but-
share.
But they love me because I just love going there and meeting with the people and talking. So I just want to say how proud I am to be a representative of a community like Lansingburg that houses people and businesses like Lansingburg Cafe and Donnie and his crew. And I just hope you all take advantage and go up and say hello some morning and put a smile on your face.
Awesome. Thank you, Jim. And if folks haven't been there, it's 112th Street and 5th. But I will say the 112th Street sector, they just got new sidewalks. There's some nice small businesses there, whether it's Jimmy's Pizzeria, Hot Dog Charlie's, you got 41 Enjoying, you have my hairdresser. Yes, I'm promoting him. Great Beginnings. Maybe Jim doesn't use her anymore. Anyway, it really is starting to get re-energized in that area, and I do know there's plans in the works to connect Powers Park, the rehabilitation of Powers to 112th Street. So we hope to continue to be your partner as we move forward to bring more business to Grams. But saying that, we will read this very quickly, Donnie. Whereas many children in the city of Troy rely on school breakfasts and lunches and go hungry when school is not in session. And whereas Donnie Graham and Amber Matty of Graham's Lansingburg Cafe at 112th Street recognized a need in their neighborhood. And whereas they announced that Graham's Lansingburg Cafe would provide free breakfast for children during the summer on weekdays from 8:30 to 9:30 a.m., the City Council hereby thanks Graham's Lansingburg Cafe for their great generosity. Your service to the children in Troy, Lansingburg, our community is an inspiration to all. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, we're good. We're good. Oh, here.
I got you.
There. Thank you. Let's give it up for Grams again. Great job. Thank you. I'll see you guys. So, Ray, thank you. Thank you. All right. Thank you. That's our good news for tonight. Thank you, folks.
Lots more good news on the agenda.
I know. Yep. Stop by. I'll try.
I'm pretty close.
And then pick up a Pradiazo. I'll check it. All right. We're now going to go into the public forum part of the agenda. We would ask anyone that would like to speak on any item on this evening's agenda to please come up to the podium, state your name and address, and we'd be happy to hear you. Please, come on.
Hello, Jason Harlow at 61 Pinewoods up in the east side. First, I just want to thank you for putting me on the list to speak last month when I forgot to sign up on the sheet because the sheet isn't a regular thing, or maybe it is and I just never noticed. But I appreciate that, and I don't think I said thank you last time. I want to give a shout out to Troy 100 because although I don't have much to offer outside of being a citizen, I go every time and I really enjoy it, and I learn a lot about Troy, and I meet some super interesting people. I also want to shout out to DeFazio's just because you guys brought it up. Do you know they have not one, but 2 vegan pizza options? I mean, that's a great place if they're willing to go out of their way to serve us weirdos, the 2% of the population. I love it. So I got a bunch of things to run through here. I'm going to start with the little ones first. In ordinance number 64, there's some money being pulled out for quote unquote chemicals. And then in the memo, it just says, yeah, we want some money for chemicals. I was wondering if we could get a broader description of what's chemicals, or is it for the kitchen sink or the lawn care or something?
Yeah, we'll tell you during the meeting,
All right.
absolutely.
Ordinance number 65, I'd ask you to support this. I didn't write a note on what it is, so I've forgotten, but it seems like it should be a non-issue, so please support it. Ordinance number 66 and resolution 52 seem to be related. I'm asking you to support these. It seems like some people balked at spending money for signs. But if we're going to grow as a city and we want to encourage tourism and bring people in and direct them, then I think this is an important thing. It's like we're growing up. Resolution 54 is about a pilot program for an area that's low-income housing. And part of that, it looks like they want to exclude a portion of that. And I'm wondering, what did I write here? What does it mean that they want to exclude a portion and come back later for a pilot request? Does it mean that they won't work on that part for a while? And what guarantee do we have that they're in this resolution that they'll go back to that Oakwood Avenue parcel that was a part of the pilot agreement? And I wonder, in this resolution, is there anything that guarantees that they'll keep rents low? And I don't know how they do that. Are they going to make sure that the rents stay below the tenants' a percentage of their income or something? I don't know how that works, or if the resolution promises that that will happen during their time in the pilot program. Because if we're giving them the benefit of a pilot program, then I want to make sure that there's guarantees on that side of things. So to more important things, in law number 3 that's proposed, unless I missed it, this law seems to only benefit companies, as it specifically calls out places that have 3 or more tenants living in the building. Then those places can apply. Residential buildings that have more than 3 tenants can apply for this financial assistance. So as an individual in a single dwelling home, I wonder why this can't apply to me. If I only get federal benefits for installing solar panels or geothermal or whatever, why can't I get some of the city's money if they're pulling? I'm just curious why it only benefits companies, corporations. And for law number 2, sorry I missed the 3 public forums. I know there was one earlier today even. So I got a couple things to say, so I'll try to rifle through them quickly. It saddens me that this seems like lip service to a base of fearful citizens, and that it seems like an overreaction to a fairly toothless resolution that was proposed. I'm glad that an actual attempt was made to define what sanctuary city means in the law, but the fact that this language relies on current federal law sort of limits its ability to last very long. This law doesn't seem very democratic, especially if its goal prohibits future behavior in an unbalanced way. It seems like it was thrown out there as a checks and balances type of thing, but arguably the checks and balances happened when the mayor vetoed the resolution. So this seems like it's just for show, which is frustrating. Also, bringing votes of this divisive nature to the people seems unwise, given that we know about what we know about voter turnout, voter misinformation, and voter suppression in general. People are easily swayed by lies, and they only believe what they want to hear and stuff like that. I lived in California for a while. We had all kinds of propositions people would ask you to sign when you're going to the store and everything. And there are a lot of things that can go wrong when a proposition goes to the people and misinformation causes them to vote one way, and then a bunch of things go to court, and the state or the city or whoever loses a lot of money. This seems like an unwise thing to do. I strongly discourage this law. I'd hope that you all vote it down. I particularly don't like the idea of bringing all these decisions to the people, all these decisions, this one or perhaps future ones, because we voted to have you guys here, you folks here, sorry, on our behalf. And if there are things like this that come up, then we come up and we make a statement arguing for or against it. And then you guys make a decision. I don't want to have to know all about all the laws all the time. So don't bring these things to the people in a general type of proposal like that, please, and vote Law 2 down. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Would anyone else like to speak on any item on the agenda? Sure.
Hi.
You could pull it right down.
Yeah, kind of a bit shorter than the previous person. My name is Klila Chorish Neori. I'm from 1928 Fifth Avenue, right in Councilman Cummings' district. I don't usually pronounce my name this way because people have a hard time understanding it. And that goes to Proposition 2 or Ordinance 2 that I would strongly ask that you that you vote down. I'm a natural born U.S. citizen, but I've lived abroad most of my life, and I have a really weird name. I'm not a John Smith. I'm not a McGrath. I don't have a name that's if somebody were to look at my ID, people really, sometimes it flatters me. Oh, this is an unusual name. But when it comes to interactions with law enforcement, I don't want to get to a position where an officer looks at this name and says, oh, that's very weird. I'm not sure if you're a citizen. Where are you from? Could you prove your citizenship now? And I'm not sure how many of you walk around with proofs of citizenship everywhere. Now, there's been. I'm not entirely talking in hypotheticals because a citizen of this country was arrested was stopped in traffic, and the officer looked at his name and said, "Oh, well, that's very unusual. Where are you from?" And said, "Well, I don't really believe that you're a citizen." So they detained him for I think it was 48 hours until it could be confirmed that they're a citizen. His rights were violated, which is, all well and good that he, in retrospect, can go and perhaps sue them. But when I'm not even talking about the technical terms that the previous speaker talked about, whether it's a good idea to have this be a charter change, which will then limit future legislation. I'm not even talking about whether a sanctuary city resolution can pass in the near future. What I'm talking about is the message that this sends. When you pass a sanctuary city resolution and the mayor vetoes it, and then there's now a resolution to change this charter to make that impossible to pass. Even if it doesn't pass, and I don't know that there's a strong chance that it'll pass today. This sends a message to the people in uniform and to the people in the administration that there's enough public opinion for this type of behavior that people's rights can be violated. So I would strongly ask that you don't pass this. If you could, I wish you hadn't introduced it. If you need to work on making a better sanctuary city resolution that will actually pass and override the veto or comfort the mayor enough to not veto it, that's great. But you need to understand that these things have consequences that go beyond the laws themselves that pass. It has to do with the environment that it creates and with what it makes people think that they can get away with, because even if they knew that the law says they can't do it, they get this message that, well, actually, there's enough people in government that say that this is okay, that you can get away with it. So please vote it down. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Would anyone else like to speak on any item on the agenda? Hi.
Hello,
Hi.
my name is Alex Boswell, 18 2nd Street. I just recently moved here and I'm excited to be part of this community. So taking into account that I'm new here and still becoming a part of this community, I also want to say that I'm coming from Newburgh, and Newburgh is a sanctuary city. So that's what I wanted to come and just speak very briefly to you about. So Newburgh is a sanctuary city. It has created a culture of trust with law enforcement that goes deep and is valuable. And I truly believe that creating a sanctuary city creates a safer community. So that's something just to take into account here in making that decision. I also used to work with survivors of sex trafficking, and I can tell you, and missing children who had experienced being missing or exploited in different capacities. That stuff is happening here in Troy too, and in this county. And when we don't allow for people to feel safe speaking about what has happened to them, the crimes that have been committed against them, we're creating a hot spot for predators to take advantage of people's vulnerabilities. And there's, all this talk about undocumented folks stealing jobs, but not a lot of talk about who's actually hiring them. And those are people who are right here in our communities, documented folks. So let's not blame people who are just trying to make a living and take care of themselves and take care of their families. Also, the other thing about sanctuary cities is that it allows for some time for people who are undocumented, who didn't have access to the information about what rights they have. It gives them some time to access services and to not be afraid to access services. So that's something that I have witnessed in Newburgh, and I think it would be wonderful if it could happen here. I do think that you're creating a culture that is not only similar to what other people have said, allowing like a culture of racism to sort of persist in our communities, but you're also just making it much harder for people to come forward to speak about the things that have happened to them. And it's not undocumented people who are committing crimes. It's often people who are from right here in our community taking advantage of and committing crimes against undocumented people because they're preying upon that vulnerability. And when it comes to thinking about a crime rate rising, research shows that crime rates don't rise with undocumented folks in our communities. And on top of that, it doesn't prevent law enforcement from going after someone who might be undocumented who has committed a crime against someone in our community. So just because someone's undocumented doesn't mean that we lose sight of all justice. It just means that we create a culture of safety and support for everyone who is here. So that's what I wanted to share. I know I'm new here,
Okay, welcome.
but excited to be here. I just wanted to share that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would anyone else like to speak on any item on the agenda?
Hello.
Hi there.
I'm gonna make this short and sweet. I'm against
Oh,
this.
your name and address,
Oh, I'm
sir.
sorry.
So sorry.
Gerald Lyman, 15 Lincoln Avenue, South Troy. I'm not in favor of the sanctuary city. And I think you should leave it to the citizens of Troy to make that decision. Not the council, whatever, 7, 8. It should be voted on by the citizens. I'm a lifelong resident of the city of Troy. And I want to have the opportunity to be able to vote on that. And I encourage all of you to go ahead with that. Thank you.
Sir. Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak on any item on this evening's agenda? All right, we'll close the public forum section. And the vacancy list is attached. Thank you. I haven't looked at it yet. And I'm sorry. Yeah. And we'll go right into our legislation, local law 2.
Local law amending the Troy City Charter, Council President Mantello, Councilmember Gully.
Do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Motion, Councilmember Gully, and I will second your motion. On the discussion, as many folks know, I think many of us over the last 9 months have heard just so much in terms of this issue, Sanctuary City. And I know many of us, I'm speaking on my legislation first, okay? If you could let me explain the local law and why it's defined. Let me, please, I have the floor, please,
I wanna
okay?
know, are you and Mr. Gully able to second and motion your own?
I can second,
bill that
he
you're
can
sponsoring?
motion, correct.
You're both
He can
the two
motion,
sponsors.
I can second, yes.
I don't know if that's, do we have an
Yes,
opinion?
he's a co-sponsor. He's not the sponsor. The sponsor cannot make the motion. He's a co-sponsor. Co-sponsors can make a motion. So in terms of this legislation, obviously, we've talked about this for the past 9 months. We've heard pro, we've heard anti, we have heard quite a bit of divisiveness over the last 9 months. Saying that, Councilmember Gully and myself, back in June, late June, said, you know what? We really feel that this is something we want to put to the people. And we introduced it early July. The mayor vetoed it, as many of us know, after it was passed 4-3. Mayor vetoed less than 24 hours after the vote. Saying that, Councilmember Gully and I, we talked about it. We're like, well, we've introduced this bill. We promised the residents of Troy that they would have a say, that they would have a vote. Do we go forward with this, or do we just say, goodbye? So Councilmember Gully reached out to residents. I reached out to residents, social media, you name it. We're like, do we continue moving forward? And quite a few residents mentioned to me the garbage fee, how that was done by a lame duck council a couple days before New Year's. A couple people mentioned, Carmilla, it could be reintroduced again. So Councilmember Gully and I, we had a decision, and we said, you know what? Let's have some public hearings first. And let's see, I have the floor. Councilmember Kennedy, I'm not gonna argue with you. I have the floor. Please let me explain my legislation.
Councilmembers ask for an explanation.
I have every right.
Why?
I have every right, just like you did with NIP.
No,
Stop
nobody's
it.
asking for an
So,
explanation.
saying that,
Please.
thank you, Council,
Let's
please.
get through it.
My gosh.
Wow.
So, needless to say, Councilmember Gully and I, we went out there and we said, you know what? Let's not just have public hearings down City Hall. Let's not have targeted group meetings where we invite some people. We tell some people they can't come. We said, let's open it up. Let's go to the Burg, one side of the city. Let's go to the east side. So this tonight was our third public hearing. We held 3 public hearings required by the charter, the first one being in Lansingburg, second one on the east side, and then this evening. Over 150 people attended these hearings.
It's not true.
Yes, it is. You weren't at the first one, so you wouldn't know. So saying that 150 people attended these meetings. What we heard loud and clear was overwhelmingly on both sides of the issue. In the Lansingburg meeting especially, we had some really pro-sanctuary city folks. And we made a point of asking these folks before they left the podium, do you support a referendum or do you not? They made it very clear, we want to vote. Saying that, we went to the east side, the same thing. We asked folks before they left the podium, we asked folks to raise their hands at the end of the public hearing, and overwhelmingly, they want the referendum in November. Everybody has their own vote here. We're not going to argue. We're going to put it to a vote. And just because Councilmember Gully and I feel strongly about this, we don't need to argue. Everybody has their own opinions. I'm not going to say your opinion's wrong or your opinion's wrong. Let's just say why or why not we don't want to let the people, or just say yes or no. But that's what this is about. In my eyes, I felt very passionate to continue forward because I was there, folks, when I was told by council members that they were not going to vote for the garbage fee. They sat right here, and all of a sudden, literally during break, during the winter, before New Year's, that garbage fee went in place. Saying that this could be reintroduced anytime. When Jim and I said, Gully, we said, let's just put it to the voters. So if it's passed tonight, it will be put to bed either way, either pro, whatever, anti. Lastly, a couple people did ask in the audience, like, why is it worded this way? In order to put it to a referendum and to meet the charter requirements of a mandatory referendum, it had to be worded in this way because, much like term limits, the people voted on term limits, it curtails the powers of the mayor and the council. By curtailing the powers of the mayor and the council, which is in the charter, it's a mandatory referendum. It was the only way Councilmember Gully and I could get that on the ballot because we don't have initiative and referendum. Saying that, we couldn't do a petition. So basically, this was the way to get it on the ballot. Should this miraculously pass this evening, and the mayor signed it and let the people vote, we would send the question to the Board of Elections. An education program would happen over the next 60, 90 days till election day, so folks know exactly what they're voting on. Because a lot of times we see referendums, they're very confusing how they're worded. We would do a full education program so folks knew when they went into that booth what they were voting on. So saying that, that's why it's worded this way. And, you know, just because we support it, we don't need to argue. So that's why Jim and I, Councilmember Gully and I, you know, we were here for the garbage fee. We've seen things promised, not reintroduced. We saw the last 9 months going back and forth. So we said, let's just put it to bed one way. And so saying that, that's the gist of this local law. Further discussion? Okay. Mara, slow roll? Yes, sorry. Council member, and you know, feel free. I'm going to call slow roll, so you can obviously explain your vote then too.
No, I'll explain it.
Okay. Mara, slow roll.
Councilmember Gully?
I'm gonna vote yes for this referendum, not because it's a political vote, but it's a passionate vote. If we all had our eyes open and our ears open over the last 9 months particularly, we've seen a lot of anger, a lot of confusion, a lot of misrepresentation and misunderstandings of the information that was put out there. And I think that by just allowing it to just standardize with 7 people on the council, it would always be that way, where a referendum that we're bringing to the people would accomplish that by giving them the education and the knowledge of what they're actually looking at. And the strength goes back to the people that we serve. We're 7 members of a community, a city of almost 50,000. Just take a look at what we went through and what those people went through as we had to listen to those stories over and over again. And I just think that it's better at this time to take that initiative at this point and allow the people of the city to vote on something that is so meaningful to them all. And hopefully to get the clarification, make good decisions. So I'm gonna vote yes.
Councilmember Garrett?
I'm like so over this. So my thing is this. what is the point of people getting voted in to be a council member if you're gonna still go back to the community to make decisions? So that means that we're gonna ask them to vote on certain things, and that means we should be asking them to vote on everything. That means our job is null and void. My issue with this, I understand both sides. I feel like I'm the outsider looking in because I haven't been here the whole time of this process. I strongly feel like there's nothing wrong with having people decide on things, but the wording in this local law is not fair. It almost sounds as if you never want this to take place. And at the end of the day, people need to get with the times. Things are changing. Life is not like it was in the 70s or the 80s or whatever time you want to choose, but things are changing. I feel really strongly that you need to let people, they voted y'all in. Let that count for something. What was the purpose of them doing that if it don't count for anything? So I personally cannot vote yes for this. I can't vote yes because I don't like the language. I'm definitely over the sanctuary city. I have to make it an issue about the garbage. The time that you're going to spend in educating people on this local law, let's educate people on how to recycle, how to figure out how to clear up some of this dumpster stuff that we got going on in North Central. I went to a youth conference over the last weekend, and I learned from a 15-year-old about an app that teaches kids about littering and teaches kids how to, you take the picture of where the garbage is at, and you create a cohort of kids or people, whoever you want to choose, and you go out, somebody in the area, you send a screenshot of the picture, and somebody that's in the area goes and clean up. These are 15-year-olds that make a decision that us grown people should be able to make without even hesitating. So if we're gonna train people on stuff, let's hook people up with Tokens and Renee at City Hall and have them learn about recycling and making sure the garbage fee is not a big issue any longer. So once again, I am voting no, because I do not want to spend any more time with this.
Councilmember Parator.
Thank you. First off, I want to say the people of Troy already voted, and they voted in the election booth November 2017 when they voted into office myself, Councilmember Kennedy, Councilmember December, Councilmember Cummings. A new Democratic majority in the city of Troy. And I take that very seriously. When I put my hand on my mother's Bible on Inauguration Day, I took it seriously that I was representing the city of Troy, the 45,000 people of the city of Troy, and most particularly the people in my district. And I have something more to say. The phrase sanctuary city means different things in different cities throughout America. I have been following and educating myself about this issue for many years. So when it was first suggested by my colleagues, Mr. Cummings and Mr. December, that we adopt the proud moniker here in Troy, I was instantly, wholeheartedly, and unreservedly in favor. Of course, Troy should be a sanctuary city. Quite honestly, I was shocked when this was first discussed at a public safety committee meeting 8 months ago. Shocked at the level of misunderstanding, misinformation, and in some cases, outright racism and xenophobia expressed. I kept thinking, have you read a newspaper in the last 3 years? Clearly, some people were getting fake news from bizarre 2 a.m. Oval Office tweets instead of real information from the Times Union or CNN or NPR. Journalists reporting in depth on the raging immigration crisis in the United States. For the last 9 months, I have listened to hundreds of Troy residents speak at city council meetings, public safety committee meetings, neighborhood meetings, meetings in immigrants' homes, in places of worship. I have fielded nearly 200 phone calls, text messages, emails, and letters. I have conducted countless one-on-one tutorials with residents who almost embarrassedly have said to me, what exactly is a sanctuary city? And while I duly represent all the people of Troy, I was elected by the residents of District 3, one of the most privileged, comprising Freer Park, Beaman Park, Sickaway, School 18, School 14, RPI, Samaritan Hospital, and more. And of the 94 emails, letters, calls I've received from people in my district, the overwhelming majority, all but 7, are in favor of Troy being known as a sanctuary city. Sanctuary city means different things in different cities, just like patriotism means different things to different people. We in the Democratic majority worked tirelessly for more than a half a year to come finally to a label, the acronym FACT, Families and Communities Together, and a resolution that says no City of Troy employee will inquire about a resident's immigration status unless a criminal matter. You may know the story of Troy resident Delilah, a hardworking single mother of 2 young children in this country for some 18 years, stopped by a police officer for quote unquote rolling through a stop sign on Burdett Avenue, and ended up in an ICE detention center in Batavia, New York, which is Buffalo, imprisoned for 3 months. Sanctuary city does not mean Troy will be overcome with an onslaught of immigrants, although quite frankly, that would be fabulous. It does not mean that taxes will go up or crime will rise. Every immigrant in Troy that I know of is here to work, to provide a safe home for their families, to put food on the table, to do what every single person in this room wants. The lies and fear-mongering spewing from the lips of certain Republican elected officials in Rensselaer County and the city of Troy is despicable, dishonorable, and un-American. The polarization of opinion on how to treat immigrants mirrors what is playing out at our southern border, where 6 children have died like animals under the watch of Donald Trump. The personal attacks against me over these past 9 months, rising in anger and threats as the months have progressed, have been hurtful and hateful. And last Thursday, one was so violent, I was advised to call the Troy police. I did not. Part of being an elected official is to listen to all people. So I took the poison and let it go. I will not be daunted by ignorance and hate. I am not a coward. I'm disappointed that Troy is not ready to wear the proud moniker of Sanctuary City, letting the world know that we respect the life, liberty, and dignity of all people. But I'm proud of the work we've done. All great change comes in increments. I am sorry for the many Troy immigrant families, many personal friends of mine who feel betrayed by those against the Sanctuary City label. Troy immigrant families living in fear that a knock's gonna come on their door, or that they'll be the next Delilah, or like the dishwasher at a Troy Italian restaurant, a 15-year employee of that restaurant supporting a family, rounded up by ICE and deported like a criminal. Unless you are a Native American or your ancestors were kidnapped and brought here in chains in the hulls of ships, we are, every one of us, from immigrant families. America is a nation of immigrants. We've made great progress. I look forward to a more informed citizenship and more courageous leadership, and a more shining day in Troy's near future. I vote no on this resolution. Thank you.
Councilmember Cummings.
As much as the council president pretends that this is about letting people vote, that words matter. And when you read this resolution, reading the actual law that's been proposed, it's a wide-ranging law in its scope and puts us on par with radical right-wing governments in states like Arkansas, Georgia, Tennessee, and Texas. And it makes us all less safe and opens up to significant liability. This law threatens to increase uncertainty and fear for hundreds of residents in our city trying to navigate a broken immigration system. And when fear and uncertainty grow, that makes all of us less safe. It ties the hands of police leadership and prevents them from enacting sound policy aimed at preventing civil right violations and protecting the Constitution and our courts. More than that, this law is at its core a cynical attempt to prolong a debate which has been settled. Over the past months, we have worked closely with civic leaders, with police, with administrative officials to put in place important protections, which, due to the discord, we did choose not to call sanctuary, but would certainly fall under the purview of this law. Protections for people here in our city now. This bill seeks to reverse that progress and keep open these divisions in our community. Because it seems that the sponsor believes that playing to the baser instincts of her constituents can rile them up against a perceived threat of criminality. And to me, that's incredibly dangerous, and so I vote no.
Councilmember December.
Just to briefly explain my vote, we have had months of work on this issue, and I believe proponents and opponents of the sanctuary resolution have all agreed, even people here on the chambers with me, that this is an issue that has passed its time. We have worked on this issue diligently, having neighborhood meetings, community meetings, sitting in places of worship, and just as a point of information, no one from any of those meetings was denied access to that meeting. So that was a mischaracterization by the council president. I want to make sure that people know that the reason we did this was to make sure people feel safe in our communities. I, like one of the speakers who spoke today, know what it feels like to be othered. As a son of an immigrant with family from other places, even though I was born and raised in the state of New York. So I understand that message to our residents matters, and I'll be voting no on the local law.
Councilmember Kennedy.
I'll be voting no on the local law.
Council President Santello.
You know, I really wasn't going to say anything since I truly, felt I put my best effort forward to allow the people of Troy vote. I took some shots here tonight, and I'm not surprised, and Councilmember Gully joined me on this local law. And, once again, pick on the woman, because it's constant. It really is. Councilmember December, I cannot believe, here you are, talking the talk. I don't like the language, prohibit. But yet, just yesterday, you want to ban plastics and plastic straws and styrofoam here in the city of Troy, but I don't want to prohibit. We all know that the reason this was proposed this way, prohibit, was to force a referendum for the people. Did I want it written this way? No. But in order to put it to referendum, we had to word it this way. The folks who attended the public hearings knew that. Secondly, Councilmember December and I actually joined in a bipartisan fashion with the rest of the council to push for an early voting site here in the city of Troy. But yet, they want you to go and vote here in Troy, but not on Sanctuary City. They want you to vote on what they want you to vote on. This is about allowing the people. That was it, in simple terms. We felt that this issue, the animosity, the divisiveness, I've worked in the state and local government for over 20 years, and I have never, ever seen people become so divisive as they have the last 9 months. So what Jim and I said, Councilmember Gully, you know what? This is such a major issue. We want to put it before the people. And in order to put it before the people, we had to do it in this manner. Lastly, it was mentioned, the fact that We should be doing other things, etc. Guess what? I know I am. I know Councilmember Gully is. Just this morning, I actually got some potholes fixed in your district, Councilmember December. Guess what? Councilmember Cummings, Barker Park. The people in the conservatory are having a problem at Barker Park. Did they go to their council member? No. Their district, they came to me. You know why? Because Jim and I work on not just one issue. We work on multi-issues. So when you say we should be working on other things, we are. So in my opinion, in November, the people of Troy still have a shot. Because you know why? You did vote a new majority in 2 years ago. And guess what? They didn't tell you that they were going to railroad Sanctuary City for 9 months.
Railroad?
I have the floor. Saying that, Councilmember Parator, please. The folks out there know, stop it, please. I didn't interrupt your 3-page Trump letter. Saying that,
I'm not running for
ladies
office
and
in
gentlemen,
November.
you will not be voting on a referendum in November. I vote aye on the local law.
Local law 2 fails, 2 ayes, 5 noes.
All right, local law 3 is for introduction only, folks. There will be a public hearing sometime in August. It will be voted on in September. And to your question, we will get you some answers on that because that was a very good question. Okay. Ordinance 61, Mara.
Ordinance amending the 2019 general fund budget to accept funds from the New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services for the purpose of gun-involved violence elimination. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion, Councilmember Kennedy. Do I have a second? Second, Councilmember Parator. Discussion?
Council President, sorry, I know this is slightly out of order, but I did want to address the question about local law 3 from the audience.
Oh, perfect. Do you have an answer?
Yeah, so
Perfect.
Jason Harlow had asked
Yeah.
why it's not applicable to individual residential properties, just commercial properties. There's some consumer financial protection agencies that are concerned about the use of this financing mechanism for individual homeowners, in particular, whether or not it sort of supersedes mortgages on the priority in bankruptcy filings and other things like that. And so PACE financing in New York State broadly is not available yet to individual residences, but certainly continues to be explored.
Very good. And Jason, I encourage you also to come to the public hearing. That'll be in August if you'd like. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Ordinance 61 passes 7 ayes, 0 noes.
Ordinance 62.
Ordinance amending the capital projects fund and debt service fund budgets. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Parator. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second, Councilmember Kennedy. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Ordinance 62 passes 7 ayes, 0 noes.
Ordinance 63.
Ordinance transferring funds within the 2019 garbage fund budget. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Councilmember Gully. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Parator. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Ordinance 63 passes 7 ayes, 0 noes.
Ordinance 64.
Ordinance transferring funds within the 2019 general fund budget. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion? Motion, Councilmember Garrett. Do I have a second? Second, Councilmember Cummings. The chemicals are for Prayer Park and Monica. I know some efforts have been made. There was a question, Councilmember Parator, and the residents being notified of those chemicals. Has that gotten anywhere? Thank you.
Yeah, so I spoke to the golf course superintendent. So as I explained earlier, the area that you were concerned with near your house, we don't do that area. That's just mowed. But the areas that we do apply fertilization and treatment to the lawn areas, we do post at the first hole, the 10th hole. We do also post in the other areas. We do notify according to the law that all our guys are certified. So we do notify according to the law that we're doing right now. But I did talk to him about potentially doing some more outreach, whether it's by the walk path, like you said, for the people walking, or even some sort of other notification. So we're looking into it. We're also, I had to make sure that we were following the law, like what we're required to do, but then also looking at ways that we can get some extension out. Okay.
Thank you.
Council President,
Yes,
I appreciate that, Deputy Mayor, because there are young children that are playing at Fair Park after, and then coming over and playing in the grass, and there are people walking their dogs, and I don't know what chemicals are being put down, but many of those chemicals are highly carcinogenic. And if we're warning the golfers, I just want to make sure we're warning families and dog walkers too.
Sure. Most of them are going to be actually on the golf course itself, the tees and the greens and that kind of thing. So it's going to be, we're not doing the whole course or the whole park or anything like that. It's going to be segregated down to that one area. So, but we'll certainly looking at all the other stuff.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks, Monica. Ordinance 64, further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Ordinance 64 passes 7 ayes, 0 noes.
Ordinance 65.
Ordinance transferring funds within the 2019 general fund budget. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion? Motion, Councilmember Garrett. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Parator. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Ordinance 65 passes 7 ayes, 0 noes.
We are going to jump to Resolution 52. Resolution 52.
Resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a contract with the Tangram Design LLC to design Troy wayfinding system. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion? Motion, Councilmember Gully. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Parator. On the discussion, I just want to say this is long overdue. I'm certainly looking forward to wayward signs, wayfinding signs that are gateways, whether it be Hoosick Street, Manans Bridge, the Waterford Bridge. And one of the things I've requested, I know Steve Strikeman is sick of me asking, but also a couple signs directing people to City Hall. I've been asked quite a few times, even from Troy residents, where's City Hall? Saying that though, thank you for your efforts, and if we could work with you as you move forward, we would love to. Okay. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolution 52 passes 7 ayes, 0 noes.
Now we're going to fund it. Ordinance 66.
Ordinance amending the special grants fund budget. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion? Motion, Councilmember Cummings. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second, Councilmember Kennedy. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Ordinance 66 passes 7 ayes, 0 noes.
Ordinance 67.
Ordinance transferring funds within the 2019 water fund budget. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion, Councilmember Kennedy. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember December. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Ordinance 67 passes 7 ayes, 0 noes.
Ordinance 68.
Ordinance authorizing and ratifying the memoranda of agreement by and between the City of Troy and the Troy Police Benevolent Association. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Parator. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Gully. I just want to reiterate for folks that didn't watch the finance, many of the council members had questions during the finance meeting, and certainly we want to commend the mayor. We want to commend Monica, the deputy mayor, Nick Laviano and his team at the PBA. Andy, we didn't give you a pat on the back earlier. I know that you were in the thick of it, and you were losing sleep over the last 9 months without this. But saying that a lot of work went into this, and it just shows how diplomacy and just coming together can really work out. So thank you for your efforts on this. I do just want to let folks know out there that there's language in here for body cams, and we are being told by the administration that that policy is imminent and is happening, and hopefully get to the attorneys sooner rather than later. And there's also a couple other items in here, saving money down the road and the outlying years in terms of health insurance. So once again, very nice work. Minimum manning, another very good feature in here. So I just want to commend you all. Further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Ordinance 68 passes 7 ayes, 0 noes.
Ordinance 69.
Ordinance authorizing the allocation of neighborhood improvement program funds. Councilmember Kennedy.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Councilmember Gully. Do I have a second? Second, Councilmember Garrett. Discussion? Good job again, Councilmember Kennedy and the subcommittee. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Ordinance 69 passes 7 ayes, 0 noes.
Ordinance 70.
Ordinance transferring funds within the 2019 general fund budget. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion, Councilmember Kennedy. Do I have a second? Second, Councilmember Cummings. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Ordinance 70 passes 7 ayes, 0 noes.
Resolution 53.
Resolution appointing commissioners of deeds for the city of Troy. Council President Mantello.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Parator. Do I have a second? Second, Councilmember Gully. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Resolution 53 passes 7 ayes, 0 noes.
Resolution 54.
Resolution of the City Council of the City of Troy authorizing the execution of a payment in lieu of tax pilot agreement by and among the City of Troy, MLK2 Housing Development Fund Company Incorporated, and MLK2 Associates Limited Partnership. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion, Councilmember Kennedy. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Parator. Is Steve Strikeman here, Monica? If he could, Steve, if you don't mind, just really quickly for the public, just briefing folks. I mean, we received a very in-depth briefing the other evening, but if you don't mind, please, thank you.
Yes, this is basically a pilot that was already approved last year, but it is amended down because initially there were supposed to be 58 units constructed, 37 units renovation, and the balance new construction. And the new construction bids came in too high, so that is going to be a further phase. And the pilot now will just extend to the original renovation of the 37 units. And then the property where the new construction was going to occur will remain on the tax rolls at full value assessment.
Perfect. Anyone have questions for Steve? And I think we went through it really in depth the other night. Thank you, Steve.
Yep.
Further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Resolution 54 passes 7 ayes, 0 noes.
Resolution 55.
Resolution confirming the reappointment of Sharon Martin to the position of Assessor of the City of Troy. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion, Councilmember Kennedy. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Parator. Discussion? I just want to congratulate Sharon to another 6 years. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Resolution 55 passes 7 ayes, 0 noes.
And Resolution 57.
Resolution of the City of Troy, New York, authorizing execution and delivery of energy performance contracts and related lease purchase agreements with Siemens Industry, Inc., Building Technologies Division for improvements at various city facilities. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion, Councilmember Kennedy. Do I have a second? Councilmember Gully. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Resolution 57 passes 7 ayes, 0 noes.
All right, we'll open it up to the public forum. At this public forum, anyone can speak on any item not on the agenda. So if you'd like to come up and just talk about what's going on in your neighborhood, whatever, that'd be great. Thank you.
Hi, it's Jason Harlow, 61 Pinewoods up on the east side. I don't know if you know about Tech Valley Game Space, TVGS. They are a game space inside the center of gravity on Broadway and 3rd. I volunteer my time there teaching art in video game development. I serve on the board of directors. And every year they do this program called the Liftoff program, where we're trying to get different people into making games. Last year, the Liftoff program focused on women, giving women the skills to make a game. This year, the Liftoff Diversity Incubator, it's called, is focusing on people of color. So I just wanted to shout out, like, if you go to techvalleygamespace.com/liftoff, there's an application form. It'll happen sometime in the fall. So it says TBD, but fill out the application if you're interested. You don't have to have any skills in video game development. It is not about playing games. It is about making games. And making games is a whole realm of skill sets, from making art to learning how to program to basic design, what engages people, what is fun for people, and product management, managing people, managing a schedule. There are all kinds of skills that can blossom into other fields, as well as just the idea of telling your story and having other people interact with that story. It's not like you just read a book or you just watch a movie. Not that those are bad things, but when you make a game and somebody else plays that game with you, they experience that story with you. So Tech Valley Gamespace wants to open that game development to everyone in the area. And this is a great program. It doesn't cost anything. You don't have to have any experience. techvalleygamespace.com/liftoff. Go and tell everyone who's a person of color that they should apply and go and try this. We had a group of women last year who came, and they are still a team together working to, if you've heard of Queenship Games, they were from the incubator last year, a group of 4 or 5 women making a game about anxiety. They want to help people with their issues, which is awesome. So please go to techvalleygamespace.com/liftoff.
Thank you, Jason.
Tech Valley Gamespace, it welcomes all ages. We do all kinds of events for young people, old people. In February, we did a Black History Month game jam. In June, we did an LGBTQ game jam. We do all kinds of, there was a veterans game jam at one point. We welcome anybody who wants to tell their story in game form, and we will teach you how to make a game. And like I said, those skill sets in learning how to make a game bleed into other industries or fields.
Thank you, Jason.
Yep.
That's really awesome. Thank you, Jason. Would anyone else like to speak on any item not on the agenda or whatever? If you want to speak on an item. Hi, Eric.
Hello.
How are you?
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'd like to start by thanking you for voting for the PBA's contract. That's supporting them is very important. I'd like to speak about the fire last week. Our guys did a phenomenal job saving a building that was a half a block long by half a block wide. The support of the community, whether people dropped off beverages, food, was phenomenal again. Saturday, Redburn Development dropped off food to all the fire departments that were at the fire scene. So we'd like to thank them. We'd like to get back to the issue of the turnout gear. Guys wore that turnout gear all night that night, and then guys worked the next day and wore it. Didn't get cleaned. Guys wore it again Sunday, didn't get cleaned. We're concerned about carcinogens on the golf course and causing cancer for people. We put up, we want signs for that. We have guys wearing cancer-causing, carcinogen-contaminated gear on a daily basis. There's signs in the firehouse, don't wear it in the living area, don't wear it in the kitchen, don't wear it in the bunk room. It's an acknowledgement that there's a problem there and it's not being addressed. Whether it's a grant that needs to be written, a bond, other municipalities have bond. I've researched stories on it. I'm going to present them to you. Emergency purchase, right? It's a serious issue. Is the city's answer when somebody comes down with cancer is they'll just jack up our health insurance costs? That's probably what will happen, and our guys will end up paying for it. So we think that you need to address the second set of turnout gear. It's not an extra set. We did a presentation here almost 3 months ago now The guy that's gear that was duct taped together, along with a dozen other guys that need their gear repaired, still not repaired because they don't have a second set of gear to wear for the time to get it repaired. It's outrageous that this goes on. I'd also like to address the body cams. We're going to be in those videos. This is the third time I've mentioned it in this forum. We've brought it up in labor management. It's a safety issue, and health and safety are mandatory items in negotiation. So if it gets delayed because nobody comes and talks to us, I don't want you all to get mad that we push the issue and send it to litigation. Somebody needs to come and talk and have a policy developed on that. And that's all I have. Thank you.
And, Eric, I'm going to break protocol. Just so everyone's aware of full disclosure, I did send Andy an email regarding the body cams. I believe I CC'd the full council to see if it will qualify for bonding, and Andy spoke to the bond council and would not. So I did tell Eric that we will, I'm sorry, not body cams, the turnout gear.
Turnout gear.
I'm so sorry.
So I'll get you articles. I found
say
articles
that-
online. It's pretty easy to Google. One of them was Spring Valley off the top of my head. They bonded for turnout gear. So it can be done.
If
I don't
we
know
could
if the
send-
proper information is being given to the bond company. If we're trying to bond for 20 years for something that lasts 10 years, they're not going to approve it. If we
Yeah,
bond
right.
for 5 years or something that lasts for 10 years,
Can you send us that info?
I'll
And
get
can
the info to you.
Can you also have your attorney look into it? And, obviously, I've committed, and I know Councilmember Garrett Gully have also stated they support the second set of turnout gear. And so anyway, I'm committed to finding the money if we can bond. If we can't bond, all the better.
Our lawyer feels it can be bonded for.
Okay, can you get us
They
that
have a
info?
lawyer in their firm that's a mayor in another city. He feels it can be bonded for.
Okay, can you get us that info, Eric?
I will.
Certainly, I'll sponsor that effort, okay?
right.
As you know, all right?
Yep.
Good.
Thank you.
Regarding the body cams, we'll follow up tomorrow with Monica in terms of involving the UFA.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else like to speak on what's happening in your neighborhood? I know we have a couple announcements here on the council, but before we get to that, I do apologize. I am going to actually ask to go back to the agenda. I was supposed to abstain on the PBA, and my pro tem was supposed to remind me. I apologize. So I would ask to bring up ordinance 68. If we could once again just take. I don't know
Make a
how we
motion
do
to
that.
reconsider.
Thank you. I can't do that. So motion to reconsider is on the floor. We have a motion. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
I'll abstain on the motion to reconsider. Mara, please.
Ordinance authorizing and ratifying the memoranda of agreement by and between the City of Troy and the Troy Police Benevolent Association, PBA.
Do I have a motion? Motion, Councilmember Garrett. Do I have a second? Second, Councilmember Cummings. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain. I abstain. Thank you.
Ordinance 68 passes, 6 ayes, 0 noes,
I
1
make a motion to
abstention.
re-adjourn.
We did not adjourn. We did not. If we did, I would have been out of luck. Saying that we do have a couple announcements, I'll go right down the road. Councilmember Gully.
Well, my announcement is not a fun event and not something everybody looks forward to, but we have a 66-year-old gentleman, Bradford Parker, who passed away in the last few days. And he was a veteran, but more than that, he was a human being. And I've been notified that this gentleman had not had any relatives in his life or friends in quite some time. And I, in my heart, I find it hard to not make an attempt to go down to Leahy Funeral Home on 3rd Street tomorrow just to honor this person who maybe didn't have anybody in his life. While we all might take advantage of the people we have next to us or around us because they're there all the time, I wouldn't want anybody to see anybody go away without having some respectful thought. So if anybody would be interested, tomorrow from 9 to 10 at Leahy Funeral Home at 336 3rd Avenue, or 3rd Street in Troy. I'm sure that whoever's there will be honored, and I know I will be. And if somebody wants to come down and pay some respect to this gentleman, to be grateful.
Cool. Councilmember Garrett.
Sorry, Councilman Gully, can you read his name into the record one more time?
His name is Bradford J. Parker. He was 66 years old.
Thank you. And I want to thank Nora Dwyer, who apprised us, and the president of DAR, who's from Dutchess County, reached out to me this evening regarding this wonderful, wonderful person that we've never met, but certainly I plan to be there. Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Garrett.
Hi, everybody. So I just wanted to make an announcement about National Night Out. There's gonna be two National Night Outs on August 6th from 6 to 8. One that will be held at the 7th Avenue Park in North Central area, and then there will be another one in South Troy at the, I'm not sure the name of the building. Oh, the Burning Iron Ordnance.
Burning Iron Works.
Oh, Burning Iron Works, excuse me. Seamus is overseeing that one. And me and a couple other organizations and people in North Central will be overseeing the one in 7th Avenue Park. If you would like to come to volunteer or just come to just support either one, they're from 6 to 8, so you can literally go to South Troy from 6 to 7 and then come to North Troy from 7 to 8 or something like that, or vice versa. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember. Would anyone else?
Just
yeah,
quickly, Council President.
Yes, Councilmember Carter.
I wasn't going to say anything, but I will. There's going to be a wonderful new annual event celebrating children and literacy, children and books in Troy, called Treat. Troy Reads every August together. And it's going to be on Sunday, August 25th from 3 to 4 in Riverfront Park downtown. And every child who comes is going to get a free autographed hardcover book. We're going to all read the book aloud together. We're going to chat about the book, and everybody is going to get a free frozen treat. And there's corporate sponsorship and individual sponsorship and lots of volunteers involved. And I want to thank the administration, particularly Monica, for helping secure the date and helping us figure out the logistics of Riverfront Park. I will probably start small, but my dream is that it become a very big celebration for children and reading in Troy. Thank you. I have little flyers here. I'll leave them in the back, and it'll be in the media.
Thanks, Councilmember Parator. And this was handed out. This is pretty cool. Alley Rally 2019. It's going to be a yard sale through Troy's South Central neighborhoods, 10 to 2 on August 24th. Put it on your calendars, please. It's going to be a good time. And I'd also like to mention the Troy Boys and Girls Club is starting a farmer's market on Wednesday afternoons, which is also some really cool stuff happening. And I will give you the time. It is from 3 o'clock, I believe it goes till 4 o'clock. So, Troy Boys and Girls Club, Farmers Market. Anyone else?
Sure, while we're going around.
Councilmember Cummings. There's a lot happening in August, folks.
I guess so. The first thing I just wanted to note, in case anyone missed it, today is the 200th anniversary of Herman Melville's birth, who lived in Troy and wrote Moby Dick. I know the Enjoy Troy company made some cool graphics and put on Facebook about it today. And I know the Lansingburg Historical Society also has a super cool hat related to Moby Dick. So check those things out. The other thing I wanted to mention, since we're finished before 10 o'clock today, there's an event going on right now, and every Thursday for the next, I don't know when it is, but at least for the next several Thursdays at least, called the Ferry Street Night Market, which is a celebration of Asian cuisine in Troy, collaboration between K-Plate, Sunny's Farm and Kitchen, Chom's Cafe, Kwang's Vietnamese Bistro, and Yummy Kitchen, while supplies last. So hoping that we can end this pretty soon.
All right. Now, wait a minute. While Councilmember Cummings is talking about events, I saw a picture of you, and you were promoting Sasquatch which is tonight. And it's a gentleman who's a PI, a private investigator, who is tracking Bigfoot. And Councilmember Cummings, he photographed for
Did he cuff him?
and it was quite funny. Anyway, how long does that go tonight at Franklin Alley?
So I have no idea.
Okay,
It started a while ago.
but they are on the Sasquatch hunt. Anyone else? If not, I will take a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Motion, Councilmember Gully and Garrett, second Councilmember Garrett and me. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?